Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I'm going to be painting my Thanksgiving illustration. I just did a recording, not a stream, just a recording of the gradient application. That way my best buddy Sarah can see it. She wanted to see it from the last one. With this one I did a little different because instead of going from the middle and then dark, started right here, and it's more of a circular from here, dark. And I took it upstairs to my bathroom and just blow dried it. Since it's watercolor, you can do that. And now I need to paint the whole rest of this. If you can't tell, these are all holiday pies. This is my Thanksgiving illustration, and this year I decided to go for a pie theme. The last time I did a Thanksgiving illustration, also featuring my kitty Kiki, I did a cornucopia, which I think is the most iconic Thanksgiving thing, except for maybe a turkey. So this year I wanted to do something different. I thought of turkey at first, but I don't know. I couldn't think of anything that I liked. And then when I thought of pies, I was like, oh yeah, I'll do Kiki with lots of pies, and she's just a little tiny Kiki, and so here we are. The great thing about this gradient is it's going to give the whole picture a really nice warm color, which is what I want, because Thanksgiving I always think of warm, you know, all the cooking going on, so the house is always way too hot actually, and then the pies are warm and satisfying, and even the colors of the pies are generally warm because the dough is brown and all that. So this is going to really give me it'll give a nice atmosphere to it, and it also helps just get the color going already, because this is going to be a pumpkin pie, and we're already so close to looking like a pumpkin pie just because of this background color. So I've got several different brushes. I picked this one just in case I might want to use it for these straight lattices on this part. I don't know if I will use it or not, but it might be useful. I thought I'd get it out at least. But I've got a size 8 round brush, size 5, and this one is so cool. I haven't used it in a while. It's got this really satisfying texture on it. Size 3 and then size 0. So I should have everything I need. Ooh, Carletta, welcome! Yay! I'm glad you were able to join me. I thought I would be earlier than this, but this took longer than I thought. So, let's get started. I think I should probably start on this side just because I'm left-handed. And that way this can dry and I can move over here or something like that. And with watercolor, I always try, it was the first rule I learned when I learned watercolor from a high school teacher, start with the lightest colors first. And then, you know, I made the mistake later of not doing that, and the reason why is if you do dark colors, so I'm going to do really dark colors on Kiki for her stripes and stuff, sometimes that paint, even when it's dry, if you get it wet again, because it's watercolor, it will go, you know, and you're like, no, you didn't want the dark there. So I'm going to start with the lightest stuff first. And I have a reference photo here of a whole bunch of pies. So I should just be able to use this one picture because this is going to be a cherry pie. This one's going to be apple. I don't actually see an apple one, so maybe I'll have to change to a different picture for this. This one's a pecan pie, and here is the pumpkin pie. So this part is really big, so maybe I'll actually start with this really huge size 8. This one also has a really satisfying, almost like velvety texture. So I mean this to be a crust that's been laid over the filling, and then these are going to be, you can see the cherry filling through these little cutout holes. But to start, there's a pie almost just like this in this reference picture, and it's got a lot of browning on it. Satisfying browning. Not particularly in any one place, although on the crust it does seem to pop up almost like stripes or something. But let's see, I've never painted pies before. Hopefully I can make this look realistic. Not realistic, but believable. That's the word, believable. It's perfect for me. I just started lunch. I'm multitasking. Oh, okay. Sweet. I'm so glad you can join me all the time. I'm always happy to see your name in there, in my chat. Multitasking. Wait, you're multitasking on lunch? I hope you're at least getting a break, that your multitasking isn't continuing to work. Though you gotta do what you gotta do. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this pretty quickly, because I've got 1.5 hours. I probably won't get this done in 1.5 hours, but we'll see how far I go. I have my, they call it an appointment, but it's just when you're allowed to get online and register for classes. So my registration appointment starts at 1, and that's 1.5 hours from now. For university classes, I mean. I'm totally excited. I got all my classes picked out weeks ago. Added them to my little, they call it a shopping cart. And I really hope that I'm able to get into everything that I wanted. Since if I can't, it's going to make things kind of complicated. But I can always try to get a permission number or something like that. So hopefully I can do that if necessary. But best case scenario, I can just click check out on the shopping cart. Hopefully the classes are all still in there. And then just be all ready to go. I already updated my calendar and everything in hopes that I would get exactly what I wanted. I look forward to Fridays just to see you, Art. Oh, that's so nice to say. I'm really happy to hear that. Aw. I don't know if anyone specifically said that to me before. Makes it worth it. All the months I've streamed this year with nobody watching, and just like, if I just keep at it, I'll eventually meet someone. And I did meet a few people, and so it's made it all worth it. And it's even worth it for having the videos on YouTube, because I have a few people who only watch on YouTube. Never did any kind of streaming or anything before this year. I just thought, I need to connect. I need to find a way to connect with people. And Twitch has worked out really well so far. It's even helped me connect with like friends that otherwise I don't talk to very often, but they've gotten on and joined my streams. It's really encouraging. Ah, I'm managing a game post in the lip sense party also, and lunch preps. I liked posting my favorite morning drink in that one post earlier today. Because I have an alarm clock that makes hot water. I got that this year too. It makes hot water, so either you put a tea bag in the teapot and then you've got tea when the alarm goes off, or what I've been doing recently is just have the little thing of hot cocoa mix and then put that in there and pour the hot water in, and it's first thing. It really helps wake you up in a good mood. Instead of just having the beeping alarm clock, it's like, oh, I also get a warm, delicious drink. Okay, I think for this part of the crust, I should get it... Yeah, I should get it wet and then add the color into the wet spots so that it's a little more organic. Let's see. And I only want to get wet crust parts and not the crust parts of this pie, not the pie next to it, and not the cutouts where the filling should be showing through. I'll just get it wet spot by spot. Add some color in and let it feather out organically. Get it wet. Ah, kitty hair. I've been trying not to let the kitties in here, but they're so cute when they ask to come in. I just can't help myself. But then their hairs get all over my stuff. I noticed when I scanned in my Halloween illustration, I didn't notice until way too late that there was a kitty hair stuck on the painting. And I don't have a big enough scanner to just scan a piece that size. I have to scan it in 2 parts. So I was like, no, I'm not scanning this again, because you got to scan it in 2 parts and then you got to do it nice and careful in Photoshop, line it up all perfect and stuff. So instead I used the clone tool to just clone the area right next to the kitty hair and cover it up with the paint next to it digitally. I understand about the kitty hair. Do you have kitties or puppies? Of course I use puppies as dogs, not just young dogs. I call all dogs puppies. Even big dogs, even wolves are puppies. I guess I don't call foxes puppies. I wonder why not. Never thought about that. Dogs. I guess dogs don't come from foxes though. Dogs come from wolves. Yes, this technique is working just as well as I hoped. Adding the color to the wet spots. Get this sort of organic baked pie look. I thought my postcard might have had a souvenir of your kitty. Well, if you look really closely, you might be able to see something, but I think that it's scaled down so much for the postcard that you probably won't be able to see it. Because it was just so subtle. I always check my pictures before I put them on the scanner. I swipe them off to get any dust or hairs off, but I've noticed this paper, the texture seems to hold on to the kitty hairs, and I think that's what happened. But I didn't notice that it was there until I was looking at it on Photoshop. I scan it in really big so that it can be resized to a bigger size if anyone wants it that way. And so it's like huge, zoomed in, and I could totally see it. It was like glaring in my face, and little kitty hair. Oh well. You have kitties. How many kitties do you have? What kind? Oh, and you know what? I think you told me. I forgot about your kitties. We have 3 kitties here. Unfortunately, they don't really get along. At best, they tolerate one another. At worst, they antagonize and fight with each other. I've come to learn there's about to be a fight if I don't run up and stop it sounds. Because they don't just attack out of nowhere. They like try to corner one another, and then one of them, usually my black cat, Kiba, will start doing this meow that I recognize, and if I don't come running and break it up, then there'll be a little tussle. Usually one of them ends up with a scratch on their nose. I wish they got along better, but I don't know what else to do. We've got a bigger house now, and we made sure to give them a kitty box each, plus one, which was a recommendation I saw one time on an Animal Planet show. And we have technically 3 floors. It's a split level house, so it's like a half basement, you know, only halfway down, and it's got an upstairs, and there's so much room. There's plenty of room. Not sure why they hate each other so much. And the only time they really get along is when it's cold and they really want to share us humans. And sometimes we'll get multiple cats and they'll be sitting right next to each other if they're sitting on top of us. Yay, this crust is turning out nice. A herd at work. Yeah, you can share me your kitty photos. I'd love to see them. I love kitties so much. If there were some way, if I had the resources or something, I would have like a kitty farm sanctuary. Like, I love animals in general. The kitties are definitely my favorite. My very first pet that was my responsibility was a cat. I remember taking her home from the Humane Society or whatever it was, and they just put her in a cardboard box. This was a long time ago. They didn't have those special kitty carrier cardboard boxes. It was just like a plain one, and she kept peeking her head in and out of the flaps like peekaboo, so I named her Peek. And I still remember that moment in the car, driving home and then suddenly deciding her name because of that. I don't even remember exactly what she looked like. I feel like she was a tabby, like an orange tabby or something. It was so long ago. My cat from hell. Oh, yeah. Is that I think that's actually one of the programs where I've seen a recommendation for multiple cat boxes. I think his name is Jackson Galaxy. If that's the show, then I have seen that one. I don't have cable TV anymore, so I don't watch that type of show very much anymore. Sometimes I'll binge watch them through Netflix, but yeah, I really liked watching his show. I remember this one episode distinctly where the people couldn't understand why their cat was so afraid of them, and it would like pee on their counter and stuff, and it turned out, you know, they would be trying to get the cat, but you know, they weren't giving the cat an escape route, so to the poor cat, it seemed like they were coming in and coming to get it. No wonder it was so scared. It was just backed up in a corner. Yeah, if that's the same show, then I have seen it, and I did like it. I thought he had really good ideas. He really got it. So I've grown up with cats, so some of this stuff is like, I don't even have to think of it. But my husband never had cats growing up, but once he met me, he met my cat Bear and fell in love with cats. There was a lot of stuff to learn about cats, and to me it was like I'd never even given it a second thought, and then it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's not something you just know without having an experience with cats. Now, let's see. I want to add a little bit darker. Getting this brown color, I don't really like it. It's too yellow. I want a more, maybe if I add in some orange. I haven't got orange. Well, I'll add a little bit of red and see what that does. I need a darker brown, but I don't want it to be... Oh, that's much better. Yes, adding the red. Adding the red was what I needed to do. Since this is looking straight down, I think I'm going to put the shadows as if the light is also coming from straight down. So I'm going to put the darkest stuff around the edges. Though with the way baking works, there'll still be some dark stuff here and there, just because it was baked darker and not having anything to do with the shadows. Crusty, crusty, crusty. I don't want this to be too light, or it won't look like crust. It's looking yummy. I might eat my own painting. Nah, I wouldn't do that. Giving cats high places to jump and play on also was a good tip. Yes. Have you seen? So we have a kitty tree, but I also want to get this super cool. So if you don't have too much floor space, which is kind of our deal, we've technically got more square feet and rooms and stuff, but the way it's divided up, the way the rooms are divided up, there's not that much floor space for extra cat trees and stuff. But they have this super cool, like, it's sort of like a cat tree, only you just install it on the wall, and then that way there's like a jungle gym for the cats to be on the wall. And then I think it was another related tip for dealing with cats who have problems with each other, which is give them multiple escape routes. And I thought that could be a good way to do that in areas in our house where maybe a kitty might get trapped by another one bullying it or something. Unfortunately, it's kind of spendy, and I've already spent a lot of money moving in this year, so that's a future project. But that was so cool when I saw it. Like, it's like just like a cat tree, only you install it on the wall instead of sitting it somewhere on the floor. Because then we could just, for instance, we could put it behind our couch or something, and they could just go all around the room. Let's try to spread out this brown a little bit more. I really love the feeling of watercolor paper under my hand. It's like really hard to explain. It just feels so satisfying, watercolor paper. And I think it might actually be, it's not just the watercolor paper, but the watercolor paper once it has paint on it is just so nice. Something about it is really nice. Okay, let me see. I ended up making this a slightly different color than this one. So let's see, what can I do to, I think I use a little bit more of this paint. This reddish brown that I've got. Let's see if adding a little of this brings it back in line with this color down here. Doesn't have to be a perfect absolute match, but when I look at it from far away, it seems so different. Nice thing about doing a bunch of pies is if I get a little bit onto the other pie, it doesn't matter because it's going to be pretty much the same color. It's still slightly different. Maybe if I add some of this yellow color to the bottom crust. Sometimes it's hard to see how it's turning out because the light reflects on the watery paint and I can't tell until I move it. So I just gotta paint and hope and then look at it when I'm done. I'm done applying the paint. Ah, that's what it needed. This one needed more yellow. There we go. Ooh, it's looking so nice. This needs to get darker now. It's looking nice, but this part is not dark enough. So I'll add some of this dark brown paint. Red, brown, dark brown. Ooh, yeah, that's a nice golden brown pie crust color. I'm going to keep my eye on the clock this time. Even though it's an untimed stream, I do not want to miss the opening of my registration window, because that's, if I get in there as soon as possible, that's going to be the best chance to get signed up for those classes. When I added them to my cart a couple weeks ago, there weren't too many people registered. The problem for me this semester is, since I'm a returning student and I haven't been in classes for a long time, I'm not part of the earliest windows of registration appointments. So if you're already registered for classes in the previous semester, or the current semester, I guess now, then you get higher priority for registering for the next semester. So it gives me a little bit of a disadvantage this time around. So that's why I'm determined to, as soon as it is, I say maybe 12:50, I'll end my stream. And that way I can be totally ready. I can be logged in, just sitting, waiting for the clock to turn. Hopefully I can even have the shopping cart page open. And that way, as soon as it becomes 1, just click the checkout button. Hopefully it'll work like that. I might have to refresh the page or something. I'm not sure exactly how it works. What time did you say you had to be done by, and in which time zone? I am in Mountain Standard Time right now. I believe it's Universal Time -7, since we are out of Daylight Savings Time. Or are we in? No, we're out because it's Standard Time now. So confusing. I wish we didn't have. I don't like Daylight Savings Time. So confusing. Yep, so about an hour, if that makes it easier. I'll stream for about 1 more hour. I'm sure I won't get this done in an hour, but I'll register for my classes. I want to get this painting done today either way, so I'll probably come back later, maybe have some lunch after registering, and who knows, it might actually take me a little while to register if I have to change which classes I am looking for, or if I have to go in and contact professors to try and get a permission number or that kind of thing. So I'm not sure how long it will be before I'm done registering. So at the very least, I think it'll probably be like an hour between streams, because I'll register for classes, and if that goes by real quick, then I'll just have a lunch break, and then I'll come back and work on this some more. So glad I have this huge brush from previous Art Snacks box. It's so handy. spend $200 a year for the yearly arts snacks subscription, and it's been worth it just because I have not had to buy a paintbrush ever since I joined. Paintbrushes are actually pretty expensive. If you paint a lot, even if you take extremely good care of them, eventually the bristles start breaking and they start, what's the word? I want to say fraying, but that's not exactly right. It's like they won't hold their point anymore, and they'll just be out like this. And that's really inconvenient when you're trying to get in a really specific spot and it's just doing paint like this instead of like this. Well, I have a constant supply of brushes and a wide variety of sizes and tip shapes and stuff. And of course I always have tons of ink. I never run out of ink. I don't run out of pens. This is turning out really good. I'm really happy. I've never painted a pie before, so I'm just using my instincts and previous experience, hoping to get the effect I want, and it's working. Ah, okay. I'm an hour earlier than you. I think you're in my grandparents' time zone, actually. They live in Texas. I don't think they're not very good with technology at all, so I don't think they've ever watched my stream or even know what streaming is. I remember when I was a kid, we always had to pay attention to what time it was if we were going to call the grandparents, so we didn't want to call too late, especially when we lived in California. Oops, got a little bit on the crust. That's okay. Oh, I'm running out of color. Mix a little bit more. This pie is so big. It's such a big pie. Big old cherry pie. That sounds like a great deal. Ooh, it is. I love art snacks so much. Once in a while they do stuff that annoys me, like for a while they were sending out emails and they were sort of spoiling the contents, and I'm like, what's fun about it is that I don't know what's coming. I think I unsubscribed though, so that fixed that problem. And oh, cat Kiva's out there making little growling sounds. I don't know what his deal is. Yep, overall I've been subscribed for, I think I'm in my 5th year now, and it's been worth it the whole time. I just love art snacks. Such a nice, refreshing surprise to get every month in the mail. Gives me something to try that's different often. And then, of course, if it's not different, it's just, more supplies to add to my repertoire, so I never run out. Pie, you're doing such a good job, Pie. You're also making me hungry for pumpkin pie. Don't say that. Now I'm gonna be hungry for pumpkin pie. Thanksgiving is too close and yet so far away. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. I'm making Mississippi mud pie, which is my mom's recipe. When I was a kid, I hated it because I hated cream cheese. I hated that tangy flavor. But now I'm like, forget the whipped cream part. Just make it all with cream cheese. No, I always do the whipped cream part too because it makes it really nice and fluffy. Then I'm going to make a green bean casserole from America's Test Kitchen, which is the best green bean casserole recipe ever. It's so delicious. And I'm going to make up a recipe. Mashed potatoes is one of the recipes I make without any recipe at all. I just know how I want them and I know how to make it. And this time I'm gonna make the mashed potatoes and I'm gonna put them in a baking dish and make a crust, like a crumbly bread topping with fresh bread crumbs, butter, and Parmesan cheese, and put that over the top and then bake it. So it's gonna be like delicious Parmesan crusty mashed potatoes. I think it'll be good. I've never tried it before, but worst case scenario, it'll just be like my normal mashed potatoes, which I'm never disappointed in. I have a friend in Texas also. Ooh. Where do they, well, I guess you don't have to tell me specifically. What area do they live in? My grandparents are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Texas is mostly all little tiny towns. So it's like, as mentioned, the big cities. We got Dallas-Fort Worth in the north and Houston more in the south. I don't know if there's any other big cities in that. I remember it was interesting. We went to some museum or something when we were visiting my grandparents about Texas, museum about Texas, and it was something like 80 or 90% of all the land was little small towns and privately owned ranches and stuff. For such a huge state, that's like a lot of land. So little as big cities. Yay, this is looking good. Make this a little, oops, splat it a little bit. Oh, you have a friend and an aunt. Sherman. I don't think I've heard that one. My grandparents live specifically in, well, my one set of grandparents is Granbury, and then the other set, I can't remember. They're not too far away, and I was born in Abilene, although technically I was born on the Air Force Base near there, which is the Dyess Air Force Base. I've always wanted, first, like, I don't know why I'd ever moved to Texas, but if I did, I look forward to being able to get the Texas native license plate. Because if you're born in Texas, you can get this license plate that's only for people actually born in Texas. I always liked that. As soon as I noticed it as a kid, I was like, oh, I could get that when I grow up. Okay, I think I might be done with this pie for now. I think I'm gonna come back later. Like here around the crust, it probably needs to be a little darker because I'm imagining this not as a flat pie, but more one of those domed ones where the filling is kind of up like this, and so the crust is like holding it in like that. So if the light is coming from above, this part would definitely be more shadowed, and then the crust might be casting a shadow. But I think I'll do a general coloring like this on all the rest of the stuff first, and then come back and do all the more detailed stuff. So, what should I start on? Maybe I'll do, so it's still wet along these edges, so I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll do this pecan pie. I had to learn how to draw pecans. I thought I knew, and then I looked them up, and no, it wouldn't have looked like a pecan at all the way I was imagining it. So I always look it up. Your potato casserole sounds delicious. I think I've had something similar to that. Well, thank you. I hope it turns out good. I just had the idea. I don't know where it came from, but I was determined to make it once I thought of it. Just want to have this mashed potatoes with Parmesan baked on top, little crusties. Darker, yes, it seems they always bake a little browner on the edges. Yep. The reference image I'm looking at, the crusts definitely have some super dark, almost burned spots, like almost, like I'd definitely eat it, but if it had been in the oven for 5 more minutes, it would be black. And on the crust, and it's just like little, there's these little areas like right here and right here. It's just as dark as the pecans need to be, actually. I'm going to trying to make these pies look all different. So even the crusts, I want it to be obvious that this crust is this crust, you know, because it's underneath this pie. So I want this one to be a slightly different color than these. Hopefully I'll be able to achieve that. And I also need to keep in mind that this is supposed to be the closest pie to the viewer, because they're sort of like stacked. I'm imagining, like, you know, they're on stands or something, and so it's like a pretty display of pies. So I think the ones closer to the viewer should be lighter in color, because I've got the light coming from straight down. That's what I've been imagining. So these ones, especially this one's the lowest one, should be the darkest pie. But it shouldn't be too extreme either. Just want it to be a little subtle effect. Okay, let's see how this color does. Oh, maybe I should have switched to a smaller brush. It's kind of big for this little tiny crust area. Try to get a mottled effect. That's good to start with. And I am going to switch to a smaller brush because I want to do these pecans too. How small though? This small? Yeah. I'll use this one. My mom's oven doesn't regulate right, so sometimes the pies are a little too brown. Oh, I understand that. I can't get my oven. My oven is relatively new. I mean, it's new to me because we just moved into this house, but it's also, they renovated this house relatively recently, so it's also new in that respect. But we're not that high elevation here, and yet I find I need to use high elevation baking times and or turn up the oven temp, because it's like it won't either, like my cakes collapse or whatever. Like if I make cupcakes, they don't always rise the right, you know, like the picture is like, oh, these beautiful domes, and then it's just like it just went out like this or something. Oh, so frustrating. The worst is burning stuff, though. I guess I'd rather have a collapsed cake than a burnt cake. That's something I do like about America's Test Kitchen, is that they have an estimated time how long it should probably take to be done, but they also say, you know, until a toothpick comes out clean, or until this or that. So there's other things you can look for to show that it really is done, even if you have to cook it for longer or shorter than the recommended, or I guess the estimated time. When I look up tips for that, it's like all kinds of stuff can affect that, like not just altitude, but humidity, and I think it was even like if you're closer to the ocean, that can affect it. so much stuff. So I always think of baking and cooking as science and art. So cooking is a little more, there's a little more wiggle room to fix stuff. Baking, there's a point of no return. We can't really fix it anymore. I like doing both though, just like I like science and art both. What kind of pie is the maple leaf? Oh, it's going to be a pumpkin pie. I was looking up fancy pies for my reference images. None of these are directly taken from any of the references. They're all my own original idea, but I've always liked when people, you know, cut out the shapes from the crust and then make... I saw ones that were like a beautiful forest or whatever, like along the edge of the pie and everything. When I was sketching, I had a bunch of different ideas for how to do leaves. At first I had them around the edge, but I actually found it looked nicer just putting the one big leaf in sort of the middle. Then it also is like a subtle arrow pointing towards the subject, which is Kiki. So that worked out well, and yeah, that's why I always do a bunch of sketches before I actually start drawing or painting, because I never would have thought to just put the one leaf. It was always in my head to like line the edge with the little dough leaves, but I couldn't. When I actually drew it, I was imagining it, but drawing it out ends up looking totally different than my imagination. So it's always good to do the thumbnail sketches and everything before you commit to a final design. I love these browns. They're so yummy. Alright, pecan. I need my pecan reference. Oh wait, there's pecans on here. Sweet. Yeah, they have almost every single pie that I've drawn in this picture. The pecans get baked really dark. They look much darker once they're baked than when they are... I don't know if they're raw. I don't know if they actually... I wonder about that. The ones you buy in a bag, I wonder if they're cooked a little bit for safety reasons or if they're totally raw. Either way, these have been baked on the pie, so they need to be even darker. Let's see. They tend to be darker on the inside of these lines right here. Aw, thank you. I love the designs you came up with. Pie decorations are so pretty. Thank you very much. It was really hard. I'm glad you like it. Makes it worth it. I did not expect it. I was like, oh wow, this one is going to be so easy compared to my last one, because Kiki is such a small little part of the picture, so it's actually going to be a lot easier, and all I have to do is draw pies. And I was like, oh, pies are actually a lot harder to draw. I guess maybe not necessarily hard to draw, but a lot more work than I expected, and that's what was harder. But I wanted to make them look really nice, so it's always worth it to put in that extra effort. No matter what, I always have this sort of hesitation, and I have to work through it, because when I want it to look really good, then I'm like, oh, what if I mess it up? It's like you don't even feel like starting because it's overwhelming. But then I get started and I'm like, yeah, it's working. And then instead of hesitation, I feel more excitement. Like, yeah, let's do this. And this part is still wet. Need a little bit more dark. Dark, dark, delicious pecans. I have not mastered making pies myself yet, especially the top crust ones. Oh man, I've never even baked a pie before. I just make those like instant ones, that, like with graham cracker crust. You just put in pudding like a Mississippi mud pie. My best friend lives in Pennsylvania, and their family has a sugar shack where they collect maple sap and make all kinds of maple products. Oh, yummy. So maple leaves are dear to my heart, but have always been. Oh, you know what I love, but it's always, I can only have one bite. You reminded me of it with the all kinds of maple products, is those just like maple leaves, and it's just like a candy, and it's this big maple leaf shape, and it's made with the maple sugar or whatever it is, and it's like, but it's so sweet. I can just take one bite at a time, and I was like, oh, that's enough for today. So yummy though. Maple. And I love maple on sausage. Even the vegetarian sausage that I switched to this year since I started eating vegetarian. I found these awesome vegetarian sausages that are just, so yummy. My favorite one is the chipotle one. It's so good. I don't even need any sauce on it. Just delicious. The best thing that company makes, brand, is their hamburgers though. They're so good that they call them field burgers because it's made with plants. It actually, to me, tastes even better than regular meat. Okay, I think that's all of that part. So now I need to do more brown, but slightly lighter. Or maybe I'll make that darker later. Let's add a little bit more water. My friend made some candy like that on popsicle sticks this past year. I'm with you, one tiny bite. They're so good, but yep, it's like you just need the taste. The one little taste is good enough. I think as a kid, I liked it even more. I don't know what it was. When I was a kid, I could just eat the sweetest stuff, and it was the best. Now I'm a little bit more reserved. I still love sweet stuff. I still have a separate dessert stomach, but I like it to be a little more subtle. I like to taste the flavors, not just the sugar. Oh, this turned out good. Nice little pecans. And someday I actually bake a pie. America's Test Kitchen has a recipe for pecan pie that sounds perfect for me, because I've always found pecan pie is, we usually just get it from the store, the ones that come pre-made, and it's always too sugary sweet. So the first bite is good, and then I can't finish my whole piece. America's Test Kitchen specifically mentions that problem in their recipe, so I'm like, I bet this is the recipe for me. They focus on bringing out the pecan flavor without making it sickeningly sweet. That's what I need. So I really want to try that, but first of all, I don't have any pie weights, and I'm sure there's some at-home alternative you can use that's, I don't know, put beans in there or something to hold the pie crust down to the thing. But I found that if I use the exact thing that America's Test Kitchen recommends as far as tools, my recipes turn out way better than if I just use, well, here's an alternative that you probably already have at home. I use the exact thing, turns out so much better. Maybe I'll make a pecan pie for Christmas. pie weights. I need some pie weights. I have tons of pie pans, actually. Heck, I even got one out the other day for a different stream. I tried breaking it up so I could eat it sparingly. So I knocked it on the edge of a table, and it shattered and flew everywhere. Ooh, like maple brittle, I guess. Well, now I know if I want to try that, I should put it in a plastic Ziploc baggie first. That's probably a good idea. Then we can put it in a bowl and share it with people. Whew. I'm suddenly getting really cold. I'm going to turn on my heater real quick. Whew. Just out of nowhere started getting chills. Maybe because I've been sitting here for so long, my body temperature's lowering a little bit. It also doesn't help. My hair is still wet. I took a shower right before this. Right before I started painting. So my hair's... I have long hair and it just keeps water in it forever. If I blow dry it, it still takes like a full hour of blow drying to get it totally dry. So usually just put it in a couple braids, a braid or two, and let it dry. Wrap it around my head so that it doesn't fall forward onto my work area. Okay, I think that's good. For the pecans, I mean. Yes, please learn from my mistakes. I shall. Alright, I want to switch to a different reference image for this leaf. I have a really good... Let's see, should I do this one? Or... Oh, yes. I have this reference image I got of this pie is like the most incredible pie crust ever. So it's got lattice, but it's also got like braided lattice in with that, and then it's also got all the millions of leaves around the sides, like, and it just looks so good. It's got that glazed look. So I really wanted to use that as the reference for this leaf. So for instance, here where there's the score marks from the knife, whatever they use to glaze it, it makes it a lot darker in there, and it's like almost red in this picture. And then they just got these big blotches of where the glaze was thicker, and ooh, it just looks so good. I really wanted to get that for this leaf. So the leaf's pretty big. I think I'll use this brush. I woke up with wet hair and was freezing this morning when I woke up. Ooh, I bet. Yeah, I hate... It's easier for me to take a shower at night just because of my temperament or something. But because of my hair, the way it just takes forever to dry, I have to try to take a shower at least before noon. Even though I'd rather just get up and just get to work and not have to, like, it feels like taking a shower is this distraction that I have to do, and it takes my mind off, and it's like, oh, well, once I take a shower, I have to put on lotion because my skin is so dry. If I don't, then it, like, actually hurts. My skin actually hurts from the dryness, so it's like, that's another thing I have to do, and then I have to braid my hair and all that stuff. But it must happen. It must happen. I must get clean and comfy. Of course, I guess taking the shower earlier this time of year does help, because take a nice hot shower gets you all warmed up until you cool down, I guess. Maybe that's what happened to me. Still had all the residual warmth from my shower, and it finally faded away. Alrighty, leaf. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get this whole leaf wet and do that first. Your pecans look great. Thank you! Still got a little more work to do on them, but the first layer, at the end, I'm going to put gouache on and make them look nice and shiny. Just put that white gouache so it won't, it's opaque, so it'll be like, yeah, I think that'll make them look really, really yummy. think I'm actually going to use quite a bit of gouache because I'll probably put some on the crust to make it look like I really wanted to give it that delicious shiny glazed look. I love it when pie crust has that appearance, just so appetizing. I don't know exactly what it is about it, but yep, this is making me want some pie. We usually have pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, so pretty sure I'll be able to have pie next week. It might even be some leftover pie. And I'm making the Mississippi mud pie, and I'm making it easy for myself since I decided to make so many dishes. Just gonna buy those pre-made crusts. I'm gonna get the chocolate Oreo pre-made crusts. Just put the filling and stuff into there, so it'll actually be pie shaped rather than usually the recipe's in a 9x13 baking dish. So it's more like cake, I guess, or something. But it's so easy not to have to make the crust yourself. There. Nice and soaking wet. It's soaking wet. Okay. Here we go. Oh yes. This paint is the exact color. The exact color that I see on these leaves in the reference image. Let's do a little bit of this yellow too. Oh, what's the time? Oh, 12:30 about. Gotta keep my eye. I only got 20 minutes. I do not want to miss my registration appointment. If I can get all the classes the way I have them, it's just going to be smooth sailing, because then next semester I will have priority to get into classes and stuff. That's added a little bit of this dark paint. Just looks so good. Ooh, it would be so fun if someday I actually tried to bake these exact pies, like decorate them so that they look just like this. Here's my illustration come to life. Yes. I'm so happy with it. Okay, I'm going to do the crust the same way. So now, I guess I'll turn it upside down. Do the same exact thing. Get this soaking wet. Crust part only. And I'll just dab the color directly onto it, and it'll be nice organic shapes. That would be the bomb. If I ever do that, I'm definitely posting it to my art social media rather than my normal baking folder on my personal page. Or I'll post it to both. Just thinking about it. Pie. I'm not even that big of a fan of pie, but I guess when Thanksgiving comes around, it turns on my pie appetite. I'm more of a cake person. Oh, I love cake. Cake is the best. I love cupcakes, and I love big cakes, layer cakes, and everything. Sheet cakes. Cookies are the easiest thing to bake though, so that's the thing I make the most, is cookies. Oops. Got a little drip in the pecan area. It's not what I wanted. Yes, this is turning out great. Okay, add a little bit of the dark brown. Gorgeous leaf, thank you. Turned out as good as I hoped. Looks just like this reference image. I actually googled pretty pies and put that into the Google image search. Of course, I also searched holiday pies, Thanksgiving pies. I think at one point I even searched for pies from the side because I was originally thinking of this not straight down but a side view. But that didn't really work out that well for showing lots of pies, showing like a pie wonderland. Didn't work out as well as I expected, so I had to change up my plans. Well, that's just another thing about the importance of thumbnail sketching. Adding this, I've got 3 colors of brown that I'm primarily using. Either directly from their well or mixing them up first. I've actually only used 4 total colors. I used these 3 browns and then a little bit of red earlier for something. For this, I think. A little more dark. Sometimes it's hard because the light is reflecting on this water. Nice and brown, nice and brown. We have so much in common. I prefer cake over pie also. Chocolate cake. Yes. Yes, chocolate cake. That's what when I hear the word cake, that's what pops in my head. Chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. Give me all the chocolate. I love chocolate so much. I have like an even separater chocolate stomach. I love chocolate so much that I have milk delivered from a local dairy every week, and I always get a half gallon of chocolate milk with my weekly delivery. It used to be a treat, like an occasional treat, and I'm like, nah, forget it. I'm just gonna get it all the time. So every week I get my favorite drink. It's actually really nice when I'm trying to eat high protein stuff. I have this protein cereal that I eat, but it's kind of bland, so if I use chocolate milk in the protein cereal, it's actually extremely delicious. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. Keeping my eye on the time, I think I have about 15 minutes before I wanted to end this stream so I can be ready for my class registration. Now this pie, for some reason, I've been imagining it more than any of these toward the yellow side of brown. So I'm going to start with this yellowish brown. And I'm going to mix it a little bit with what I've already got in my mixing well. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing here. Have you had chocolate pie? I believe so. Like, I've had chocolate cream pie. And of course, Mississippi mud pie is pudding in a pie crust. Chocolate pudding in a pie crust. Oh, I love those Marie Callender's frozen chocolate cream pies, and they've got like the little, what is it called? Not shreds, but like it's those little curls of chocolate on top of the whipped cream and stuff. Yum, 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 yum. For a while when I was a kid, that was the only pie I would eat. I did not like regular old pie crust. And still, even today, there's some pie crust where I'm like, ugh, I can't eat it. I'll only eat the part where the filling is on top, but I won't eat the edge part. We have a local, relatively local chain restaurant called Sherry's. They have pretty good pie crusts. They have a deal where on your birthday you get a free slice of pie. And I think it's no purchase necessary, though of course I always order other stuff too. Sherry's, I love their coffee. So having a slice of pie with a mug of their coffee is really good. Their coffee is so good that one time I went there with friends late night and just had coffee, and I ordered some buttered toast. Just went there more to hang out, to have a spot to keep chatting and stuff. Whenever I go to Sherry's, I always get there. I don't always get a pie, but I always get their coffee. Even though it's bad for me to be drinking late night coffee. Trying to tell which parts of this lattice I've actually gotten wet. I think once I'm done with this crust, it'll be time to end this stream. French silk. Ooh, I don't know if I've actually had French silk. I've heard of it, though. I've had so many pies, though. There's a good chance I have had it. But on the other hand, I don't particularly remember. Chocolate pie. Chocolate pie. I've got to hold on. Got to hold on until Thanksgiving. Nice golden crust. These drawn pies that I made didn't start making me hungry until I added color. I've been drawing so many pies for this, but not until now. The color makes them really pie-like, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more dark. Get this yellow, and I think I'm going to skip straight to the darkest brown I have, and then that way I won't add too much red, because this other brown is a really red brown. Oh, that's what I thought you might be describing with the shaved chocolate on top. Ooh, maybe I have had it then. So I love that. It's so good when they do that, and then you just, especially when you get a big piece and it's just like this little, Well, it's like the cherry on top, only it's a chocolate on top. My mom has a homemade chocolate pie recipe I love. Oh yeah, I wanted to try that. Then it was you, right, who gave me the cake recipe. Because I'm having such a trouble with chocolate cake. I'm not baking anything this week though, because Thanksgiving, you know. I want to, I guess, rest up, save up my cooking, baking energy for Wednesday and Thursday, because a bunch of these recipes are prep ahead, so the green bean casserole can be made ahead, and then you just have to put it in the oven to get warm and brown the top. And I figure I can do the same thing with the mashed potatoes, because I can just put them in the container and put the topping on top, and then it'll be ready to go in the oven once it's actually time. So I'll try to get that done on Wednesday, so I don't have to do too much stuff on Thursday. And I can make the Mississippi mud pie ahead of time too. Just put it in the freezer so that the whipped cream doesn't get too collapsed or something. Yay! Okay, even more dark. This time for more shadow type areas. For that chocolate pie recipe, do you make the crust yourself, or does it use a pre-made crust? That's my biggest hesitation for pies right now, making my own pies, is the crust. It's one where you really got to make the crust from scratch yourself. I'm not ready for that right yet. So this Mississippi mud pie, even though making the crust is actually pretty simple, especially if you do the graham cracker version, I'm still just going to buy pre-made ones. I'm trying to get these shadows to show which bits of lattice are on top of which. Ooh, it's getting closer to time. Getting excited. I hope I get my classes. If I get them exactly as I've scheduled them, because a bunch of them only had one single time available, so if I can't get in, it's going to be really troublesome. Ah, thank you for the time reminder. I'm starting to look at the clock like every minute now. You could use either. It's a very simple pudding. Just cocoa, sugar, flour, milk, egg, and vanilla. Well, that sounds like the perfect recipe for me then. Cocoa. Yep, chocolate's the best. I do love other stuff, but never as much as chocolate. And sometimes I'm in the mood for cherry pie or apple pie, but usually as I'm flipping through the options at the restaurant or something, as soon as the chocolate pie picture hits me, I'm done. That's what I'm getting. Sweet. This one turned out really good. Now that I've finished these, I think I actually need to add a little more of this yellowish brown to these, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I have 3 minutes until I want it to end, so I think I'll just get ready to end now. Rinse out my brush, let this dry. Oh, perfect timing. Carletta is going home too. Well, back to work. It's weird. It's like, okay, well, now we're here on the internet and now we're going home. That is the real world. Aw, this might be my favorite you have done so far. Aw, thank you. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm excited to send you your postcard of it now. Once I get those made, I'm definitely going to finish this today so I can order those postcards. Hopefully they'll get here quickly and then I can send them right away. We'll see. Thanks for joining me again. I'm always really happy to chat with you. You're such a great chatter. And it makes the time fly. Like, I can't believe it's already been an hour and a half pretty much. Alrighty. Well, it's perfect timing. Carletta has to jet, and I am gonna let this dry and get on my student account, get registered for my spring classes. So I will definitely be back later today to work on this some more. I intend to finish it today. That's it for now, though.